Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome back to the Liberal Artist Podcast. I am your host, Bodio, and with me, I have Kaylie Horowitz.
Hello.
And Andy Gibby Gibson.
Hello. I still don't have it.
It's been about a week and a half. Street Fighter 6 came out.
And verdict.
It's so good.
Do you realize how blessed we are? Like within the last month or two that we've had. We are eating good, bud. Street Fighter 6, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, full release for Darkest Dungeon 2. Like, I was starting to do something with my life, and then all of these, these horsemen of the apocalypse of productivity came out of nowhere.
That's always when it happens, though, when you're trying to get things done, and some game company somewhere out there says no.
Final
Just
Fantasy
very quietly.
16 comes out next week from when we're recording this, I think. I won't be playing that because I don't have a PlayStation, but...
Yeah. But when you're finally done with all of that, like, that's when Spider-Man 2 is going to strike and just be like,
Not until... So, those are PS5, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't play those until next year, unfortunately. But I will still be playing Street Fighter at that time.
I'll be playing Street Fighter until I'm dead.
Until Street Fighter 7 comes out.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like, I've been tempted at times to get back into fighting games, which, you know, my extent was Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS when I could touch a screen and that does the 17 button combo for me. And we worked pretty good for that. And I'll have you know, I was pretty good at Super Smash Brothers.
Gibby was pretty okay at Super Smash Brothers. We played all the time. Back in the day.
We played a lot. I won once out of every 10-ish times against Bo, and once out of every 25 times against our friends who were even better than us.
Which, that's not bad statistics. Like,
look, all I'm saying is if you took a random person from the planet, I could probably beat them in Smash Bros. I've thought about this. Like, statistically, I've got at least a 95% chance at beating a random human being at Smash Bros.
It's always weird having your friends who are, like, better than you in a video game because it really humbles you, right? But I used to be pretty okay at Smash Brothers, in my opinion.
You used to be very good.
I used to be pretty okay.
I was the Mendoza line of Smash Brothers, is what it is. Like, I'm good enough to hang with the big boys, but I am like directly average. I am betting. I am batting like 200 over here. Like, you passed the litmus test. I was the gatekeeper.
But the story is, I would play with Gibby, and we would play with some of our other friends who would actually practice. So I think we were better than average, right? So I remember
you were competitively training amongst comrades and building your skills.
But
along
still a
the
lot
way.
of big fish, small pond stuff, right? There was a time when I went to, and I quote, the worst party I've ever been to. My buddy is an electrical engineer, and some friends of his were having a party. Never go to. Hey, if you're in college, listener, and the electrical engineers are like, hey, we're throwing a party, don't go. It's going to be...
Are there engineers that actually throw good parties?
Yes, civil engineers. Civil engineers go
party, hardy.
Yeah, they throw down.
Chemical engineers know how to mix.
Industrial engineers too, but I'm biased. Chemies go pretty hard.
They need it. Have you looked at any of the courses or textbooks that chemies you have to use day in, day out?
I don't drink alcohol with chemical engineers because I
know. They'll drink you under the table on just a regular day.
Either that or they're pure souls.
Not exactly traditional engineers, but if you party with audio engineers, you will die.
Yeah.
Or you'll win a Grammy.
Getting back on track. Went to a small electrical engineers party. I am the only black person in the room, and they're like bumping Kendrick Lamar, which is already a bad sign.
Oh dear.
And
yeah.
This party's lame as hell. It's just a bunch of dudes, one lady, and they're just like drinking around the TV, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Frankly, that's one more lady than I expected for that party setup.
But the lady was friends with my friend, so the three of us were chilling in the corner, drinking, having good conversation. And then the host of the party is like, "Yo, I got smashed. Let's throw down." My buddy like announces like, "Hey, Bodio's pretty good at Smash Brothers." And I look at him, I say, "Don't do
that."
We're gonna king of the hill this night,
right?
With,
just like,
with Smash Brothers.
I'm sorry. That was just so real out of nowhere. You just solemnly look at this man with all the melancholy in your heart, and you just go, "Don't."
Yeah, but like really, I'm like, real. I don't know these folks. This shit's lame as hell. I don't want to like come out here and throw down.
But if y'all insist on me throwing down against you.
My buddy's like, "Yo, Bodio's real good at Smash Brothers." And I'm like, "Man, don't please." And they're like, "Oh, so you think you're good, huh?" I'm like, I play a little bit, man. I don't even play for real. You know, I play Toon Link, so I'm like, whatever. This is Smash 4. So this is Smash Brothers on the Wii U, the one nobody played outside of like 5 people. But
it was a dark time.
It was a very dark time. But yeah,
I played a lot of that game. I'm one of the 5. I'm 20%.
We did play a lot of that game. But I'm like, "Yo, don't do I don't know, y'all." And they insisted. So it's like, all right, I grabbed some sticks. There's like 4 people playing. So if you're not familiar with Smash Brothers, you have a certain number of lives called stocks. Right.
Yep.
So you basically have, typically people play with like 3 to 5 stocks. So you basically have 3 to 5 lives to beat up and take everybody else's. It's considered impressive if you have more than 1 left by the time things have gone down.
Yeah.
When we're playing 3 stocks. When we're playing with 4 people, I have 2 stocks left out of like 4 games. These people were not very good. I am not flexing. No. These guys just suck. And I remember the host of the party was like getting mad frustrated. And
oh no.
He was like, "All right, 1v1 me, man, because you're camping, you're playing lane." I'm like, "All right, man, whatever."
I know where this is going.
We 3 stock, no items.
No, yeah, we run the set, man. 3 stocks, best 2 out of 3 matches.
Wombo combo.
Yeah, I 3 stock him so I don't die in both matches.
Oof.
Take him to fucking Clown Town. And I remember
0 stocked him
specifically. The Blacker the Berry by Kendrick Lamar was playing, and my man throws down his sticks in frustration. This is a 21, 22-year-old man about to get his degree in electrical engineering, one of the harder degrees you can get.
Not the Wii sticks.
And he throws down the GameCube controller in frustration. I looked at my homie. I'm like, "Hey man, it's time to go." And he's like, "Yeah, I think it's time to go."
I'm sorry. No. I'm just realizing that I'm gonna get copyright struck for this episode
because you gotta play it like real quiet under that story.
Underscored by Kendrick Lamar.
I'm gonna have the entirety of that album playing behind this opening.
It was a horrible time. I'm not gonna lie.
So the moral of the story is Jamie Lee Curtis, you've been put on notice. Get fucking ready.
Let's throw down.
My boy is coming for you, and he's gonna kick your ass.
Let's play. Let's run the set. I play Manon. She's cool as shit.
You're in the same town. It's not like LA is a gigantic place with 30 million people.
No.
Come on, you scared?
No.
There's this end of the spectrum of just being good at video games, or you're in my end of the spectrum where I'm bad at every game, but I play with my friends and keep losing at Smash and Civ and every other thing we multiplay. And I'm just biding my time until the moment is right.
I know we should get to the episode topic, but do we talk about the straight whiskey?
Is this Kaylie's like gamer power juice?
No, Kaylie got fairly
the worst
competent
punishment known to man.
Kaylie got very competent in video games because of the patented straight whiskey.
Oh my goodness.
We were hanging out at Kaylie's now fiance's apartment. He had 3 roommates, and one of them happens to be
2 roommates.
2 roommates. I apologize.
3 in the house.
Yeah, but
it was 3 whenever I came over because it was right down the street. I was 10 feet away.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes it felt like there were just more people that lived there. It's one of those.
It was a sitcom. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But one of them happens to be one of my best friends. Shout out to Jared.
Jared.
One night, Jared and I are sitting down playing Smash Brothers, and there's a big old bottle of, what was it, Evan Williams?
Something like that. Just
something
like
disgusting.
College whiskey,
Yeah,
what you can
something
just
that comes
get.
in a plastic bottle. It was gross.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh. And we have this, like, it was a handle. It was a lot of Evan Williams. But it was about...
Jared doesn't do anything small. He does it big.
Well, Jared didn't buy it. The other roommate bought it. And he got like halfway through it and decided, yep, this is indeed disgusting.
I thought I could make myself like this. I was wrong.
No. But we have half a bottle of this gross brown fluid, and we're staring at it. It's like, what are we going to do with that? Nobody's going to drink it.
Just pour it out.
No, it's a waste of alcohol.
That's a waste of alcohol. So I have the bright idea of, say, hey, what other brown liquors do we have in the apartment? And we proceed to pour them all into the
Cue the montage of these 2 a la Frankenstein and Igor creating some unholy amalgamation of brown liquor.
And so what happened was, after every party we threw, if there was brown liquor left in the apartment, it would go into the Evan Williams bottle.
They put some duct tape over it, and just like in the like most kindergarten handwriting is how I remember it, is just straight whiskey.
It became the straight whiskey because it was straight up whiskey. That's all it was.
This is why I could never light a candle down the street, because the entire neighborhood would have gone up in flames.
The fumes.
But the rule became, if we're playing games, right, not at big parties, but at like just at like, the general gathering. It was like the 6 or 7 of us who always hung out. If you get last place, if you're the first one eliminated, whatever, you have to take a pull from the straight whiskey.
It wasn't just that; it was chugging the duck too.
Yeah, we did. That's a whole other story. We don't have to get into chugging the duck.
We don't have time for that right now. But
are you telling me that? Wait, did you drink straight from the bottle?
Yes.
So there was like a collection of all of your saliva and backwash and DNA inside of there.
Alcohol kills it.
This was an unholy amalgamation.
God, I'm glad I don't drink.
And Kaylie got very good at video games because she got tired of having to take pulls from the straight whiskey.
Maybe it's the burnt out gifted kid syndrome talking, but honestly, at this point in my life, I'm like, shit, do I need the threat of something like not physically painful and life endangering, but just some kind of like anxiety inducing force like that, like test exam results, like a straight whiskey challenge? Do I need another one of those just to keep me motivated day in and day out?
This is giving me like major Brennan Lee Mulligan vibes, where he's just like, I don't even like winning. I just hate losing.
And that was the goal.
So much.
You didn't have to win. You just couldn't come in last.
Yeah, it's not the Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. It's just don't be last.
Just don't be last.
Meanwhile, down the street, our punishments were like, your team's flag got lit on fire, and we destroyed totems in effigy of you with a sledgehammer.
That sounds a lot more complicated and a lot more dangerous. I'm gonna be completely
honest. Was a hell of a lot of fun.
Right, I'll take your word for it.
They were conducting
and my
rituals.
Totem never got broken, and my flag never got burned.
Damn.
War damn. So transitions are easy, right?
Yeah, I don't know how we got here. How do we write ourselves out of this one?
I don't know.
Yeah. You suck. So
this is why I can't go on strike.
Stop it.
Get out.
This is a serious situation. Damn you.
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
We're about a month into the 2023 writer strike. And we thought that this episode will be a little different from our usual fare, where we usually have like a string of media pieces to pull from and discuss for. This one will be a lot more loose and a lot more speculative, I think.
Can you tell this episode's looser than usual?
Yeah. The energy is kind of like moderate, right? We're not like cartoony.
Right in advance.
Right.
We're all just in like recliners, like just like, yeah, fascinating. Did you ever think about that?
Welcome to the ASMR version of the Liberal Artist Podcast.
It's like a 50s talk show where everybody's smoking and nothing that serious. And there's one commercial every 30 minutes.
God, what a time. Yeah, we wanted to look into like the history of past writer strikes and kind of aimlessly predict where this writer strike's gonna go. And
because we are all deeply involved in the television industry, and we are industry professionals.
I'm fortunate enough to, in my short time in LA, I'm connected to a number of folks who aren't necessarily one-to-one direct connected with the Writers Guild. They're not writers themselves. Well, some of them are, but they're not in the Writers Guild. They're on the cusp of getting into it. And I've been fortunate enough to meet some like actors as well. So I'm in the realm of not one-to-one connected to the Writers Guild of America, but I'm pretty closely tangential to it.
Yeah, it was like you're on the periphery and not just like, oh, I live in LA and see things, but like, no, you're connected with people that are on that cusp.
And
exactly.
It's really cool, and I'm very thankful for those people for giving me the time of day.
Yeah, because like not only like are writers and writing assistants and showrunners affected, but when a portion of the entertainment industry shuts down, everybody's affected. Like when you don't have writers, you don't have shows.
Right.
Yep.
Is what it comes down
You don't have
to.
entertainment, right? Like the Tonys had to go on without writers. Same with the BET
but
Awards.
Also, let me just say, I think this was one of the. I wasn't able to watch the Tonys because I was.
I really hope you don't say this
rehearsals.
is one of the best Tonys there's ever been.
There were some great moments because they were unprompted. Like again, it's that I don't want to say that we should do this forever as a like, we don't need writers for the Tonys. But you see that like, you again, I think it just shows more how much writers, for better or worse, become a tool of like those in charge of the event going, this is how we're portraying and talking about things. And a good writer is able to put that like, here are the guardrails of what mom and dad have said we can or can't do, but still make it like natural or sounding in accordance with what you expect from that event.
Kaylie Horowitz saying that writers are a tool of the establishment. It's recorded. It's a lot.
Yeah. Because when they also like when they aren't, then you have just actors that go, all right, I'm just gonna say shit, and we're a lot more unhinged and have less control.
I'm very afraid this is gonna be used against you one day.
Oh, I'm sure. But it's why we need writers to keep actors in check from like having an intrusive thoughts moment and going, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Well, the Tonys, happens to highlight a lot of people who have a pretty strong background in improvisation and from, performing and speaking off of the cuff. I could understand if that one went pretty good overall, even if they're flying a little blind. Imagine trying to do that on Game of Thrones.
No. God, no.
Can you imagine the actors trying to just like ad-lib dialogue? You know who did a lot of that? X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that movie sucks big time. They didn't even have like dialogue during like their production that was written before the writer's strike went down. They were just speaking based off of outlines. And guess what? It's not good.
Yeah.
But I think the Tony's thing accents even further. Writers are a lot more present than I think we realized, right? Like even a live entertainment. Right?
Take award shows for granted because it sounds just like, here, we've got a thing to tell you about, and then we read a list, and then we say the right name. But like, no, it's scripted and teleprompted.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how the BET. I think the BET awards are this week. They are. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Hopefully well. If not, well, pay the writers. Right?
Yeah, like it's probably for their benefit that we're definitely past like Oscar season and everything.
Yeah.
But we do have the Emmys. Yeah, I believe we have the Emmys on the way as well.
Yes.
When are the Emmys usually?
It's usually towards the end of the summer, early fall.
Yeah, the For Your Consideration campaigns are going up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Which, speaking of which, our friends behind the party are currently running a For Your Consideration campaign. I believe it is best short form comedic scripted series. Wrong! It's outstanding short-form comedy, drama, or variety series, you fool! Anyway, that's our little plug that I wanted to do for our
shout-outs to
friends.
Geneva, Margaret, and Tori. They're amazing.
Woo-woo!
Before we talk about like everything that's going on today, can we do a little history?
Absolutely.
Rewind.
It's rewind time.
All right. There's two main writers' strikes that I would like to talk about. One is going to be summed up very quickly. One is going to take a little bit more time.
Okay.
The first one happens in the mid-'80s when home video was really taking off, and the writers wanted a bigger cut of home video because they could see how big it was getting. The studios said no, and they didn't get anything from it, and boy, did that piss people off.
Yeah.
And that's the 1985 writer's strike in a nutshell.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
The big deal is 2007.
Yeah.
Because before today's writer's strike, when people thought of that, they would think about the strike in 2007. That started in November of that year and continued on through about the middle of February. The reasons that one went down were primarily DVD residuals. They would get as writers, spread out through the industry. I believe the figure was 0.3% of residuals from DVD sales. And they wanted to go up to a staggering 0.6%. And the Writers Guild of America East and West were just like, this would be nice. To which the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, with such fabulous people as Harvey Weinstein, Bob Iger, Jeff Zucker, a lot of fun folks were like, no. They also saw the onset explosion of streaming and new media as they addressed it. The one issue, they would call it. And they were just like, we need to get ahead of this thing before it explodes, and we need to make sure that we are going to make some money off of this. And once again, the writers, not the writers, but the producers were just like, what do you need money for? You're writers. What? Whack. And because they could not come to a contractual agreement, the WGA West and East opted to strike, which immediately shut down the production of a lot of shows for broadcast and cable programming, directly affecting things from your scripted TV series to your late night programs, reality shows, and daily programs such as soap operas and daily talk shows. Eventually, they did get a deal when it came to the streaming process. They got what they wanted there, but they did not get any improvement on the DVD side of things. But hey, they got some bonuses when it came to streaming, which would change eventually down the line with today's writers' strike, with the way that TV is produced. But 2007, hey, we got something. That's pretty good, right? But holy shit, did it have an effect on the industry and the TV shows that were being produced at a time. Just in a quick little recap, and stop me at any time that you please. But just very quickly, things that were immediately canceled: the spinoff for Prison Break, the Geico Caveman Show, which honestly probably for the best. 4400, similar programs to that. A lot of shows got tanked because of this, because they only got to put out their first half of their episodes, such as Pushing Daisies, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and even The Big Bang Theory, which had only premiered a little less than half of its first season's worth of episodes, while they were still producing and writing more. It shuts down and they go on months-long hiatus. Crazy little fun fact, given it became like the #1 show on TV for a lot of years. Other stuff had major changes to it, such as Scrubs had to be picked up by a different network. Breaking Bad was cut to 6 episodes instead of 9, which would have killed some major characters that remained. Yeah, they would have killed Jesse Pinkman at the end of season 1 had it not been for the pause and then the rewrite of the season. It fucked up Lost, Friday Night Lights, and Heroes, and all those shows sucked after that, especially when they brought in non-union writing equivalents who did a bunch of really dumb stuff to their stories. They took good shows and they made them bad because they brought in scabs. And also, finally, you see just a hell of a lot of late night guys trying to wing it. Sometimes it goes great, like Conan. He's got that crazy manic energy. Sometimes it doesn't. Leno.
Yeah.
I am still pissed about Jay Leno from the Team Coco, Team So-So controversy of the 2010s. So I am a biased
A lot of those
source.
guys, late night guys, were also paying their writers out of pocket.
That's true.
Their shows.
Not only the writers, but the rest of the production staff when they were off the air. And then once they got their shows running again without the writers, they were back to employing their production staff and paying their writers. So props to them for that. Especially Conan, who is the fucking dude.
Yeah.
And that's 2007 in a nutshell right there for you.
And the weird thing was that, like, this was only, like, I remember kind of watching the ramifications of this. Like, these weren't shows that I watched as a kid, but I remember seeing the advertisements a lot for Pushing Daisies and Lost and all of these things. And this was only, barely 5 months-ish, November to February of a strike.
It was 100 days.
100 days is the big number there.
And this much of the industry was not just impacted, but then subsequently we felt the ripple effect for a long time, because suddenly with those gaps of what do we do, like, this is what I remember everyone's like, oh, this is what the strike is known for, is booming reality entertainment, because you don't have to write that shit.
That's kind of a half truth.
Sure. Like, there is writing technically, but it qualifies as a different thing than a written scripted show.
Not even that. It's true because a lot of shows were, or a lot of networks were able to pump out productions via non-scripted television. One of the bigger examples is the Apprentice swapped to the Celebrity Apprentice because of that. Because of the writer's strike, because they needed a way to draw more eyes to the product.
Yeah.
That said, the programs that did the best during the writer's strike were already doing well. Your American Idols, your Bachelors / Bachelorettes, right? A lot of the
Big Brother and Amazing Race.
Yeah, a lot of those
especially highlights.
It's kind of the rich got richer, as opposed to, and then we tried to propagate that in the writers strike was a reason to expedite said propagation, right?
Yeah. They had less and less competition as a result of it, which allowed them to keep growing.
Like that was the one part of it that backfired, was that production agencies, people in charge of shows or who had those connections to kind of push things in that direction. Because what I remember of that point in the 2000s, it was like things like Jersey Shore and Real Housewives were like having their heyday, and American Idol was absolutely
at its peak.
in its heyday of television. And like that's what I remember about like 2007, 2008 is just like that's what's on for and especially for our age. Like it wasn't necessarily like, oh, you couldn't watch some of these shows, but it's not like these were meant for like not like child audiences, but young adults. Like they were very
teen,
like like teens and adult content. And so middle school, tween age, you were kind of just left with like you were kind of just left with whatever was on Disney Channel, and like that's always targeted younger. So you're just sort of like, well, if I like things like American Idol, cool, I'll go watch that. Or if not, hey, here's this cool new thing called YouTube, and people post weird stuff like these Smosh guys.
I'll say this because like it feels weird to say this, but some of our younger listeners, I don't know what our demographics are exactly, but if you're younger than us, if you're currently like early 20s or younger, you may not remember television in the same way that we do, because we are the last generation before the explosion of the internet and streaming content. We witnessed the transition of that. Things like American Idol were event television.
Yeah.
Like those were the things that you talked about at the water cooler the next day.
It was like when a Marvel movie came out.
Like
every week.
Yeah, except every week you have millions of people not only tuning in, but given a call to action to call a number on your phone and vote for whoever you wanted to stick around, or things like the finale of Survivor or Big Brother. These are huge, and they only got bigger.
And if you don't believe us, world famous country music star Kelly Clarkson was American Idol winner number 2.
She was number 1.
Was she number? I thought Ruben.
Yeah, because
was
then
number
Carrie
1.
Underwood also came through American Idol, right?
I'm gonna embarrass myself a little bit.
Go for it.
Oh boy.
For the lore, but Kelly Clarkson, Ruben Studdard, Fantasia, and then Taylor Hicks, I believe, and then Carrie. I might be mixing them up but who cares? After that, it's a muddled mess.
But like 3 of 5 of those are still like mega stars today. Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like Taylor Hicks is doing shows in Vegas. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because like when you don't have on demand like at your fingertips, not just from the perspective of like the internet and streaming, but also on demand, like through your cable. Like this is the time when Netflix came in the mail. Like you are told what's important by the people who are producing and promoting these shows. And when you've only got reality TV, it feels pretty fucking important.
Yeah.
So transitioning to today, the 2023 writer's strike.
Now completely drenched in you pick what you want content.
Yeah, so there's
holy shit.
It's a lot. There's a number of complications. Last bit of history I want to enter in because it's relevant. The 1988 Writers Guild strike, which was, I think, is the longest one. It was over 150 days. The big things that they were looking for there were residuals, right? So pay, obviously, every strike in American history has something to do with pay.
I wonder why.
But the other big, one of the other main big things was expanded creative like writing, like having the writers have some say in the creative process, right?
Right.
Which from modern day showrunners is an extremely important part of the writing process that makes better showrunners, that ultimately continues to craft and makes better television. How it used to work before the advent of streaming was you'd come in, you'd write however many episodes of, let's say, 30 Rock, The Office, whatever. And then the writers, or at least most of the writers, would stick around, right? It wouldn't be like I wrote the show for 3 months, then I pieced out, and hopefully it gets a second season. A lot of them would stay during production and help. Hey, an actor can't get this line. Let's try to rewrite it to make it fit. Here's how
it overlaps.
Yeah, here's an extended part of production that you need to know so you understand every bit and part of the process, right? All those soft and tangential skills that make a well-rounded worker in terms of producing just like a television show or a movie. Writers were a part of that, and the biggest writers today, you're talking people behind like Empire, we're talking like all those big shows, they all credit that to be why they're as good and successful as they are today. In the world of streaming, that doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
Especially now that Netflix has so much competition. We can go for hours about the history of how streaming has made just like the production of media super weird. But when you talk about the advent of streaming, your HBO Maxes, or I guess it's just Max now.
Max. Oh.
Eventually, it's just going to be M.
I'm going to fight them one day, I swear to God.
Your Hulus, your Disney Pluses. You went from producing about 40 to 60 new television shows per year to 300 to 400 new shows per year. You also go to these shorter formats where, as opposed to doing a 12 episode season, a 22 episode season, you're doing 8 episodes, and the writers are coming in. They're going from, okay, I had half a year worth of work and I had residuals to keep me going after that. So finding my next gig, I still had some money coming in, going to like, okay, I have 3 or 4 weeks of really, really hard work and no residuals, just because there's no really format ever created for that, for streaming, right? You kind of get paid a lump sum, and then it's like, all right, deuces, good luck on the next one. And they're in a place where they can't eat, right? Because you work real hard, you get $3,000, and then they're like, all right, go figure it out yourself. You're not getting paid for that $3,000 of work. You're not sticking around with the show because they're just pooping out new shows. And, you know,
why would we renew things when we can just make a new show?
Right, exactly. And even if we renew it, okay, that's another 3 weeks of work, and that's another $3,000. Cool.
Yeah.
Right? A year or two later, right?
The economics of this has surprised me a little bit, because not only are there are more shows, but when you get on a show, there's fewer episodes for you to write.
Yep.
The previous overlap does not exist like it used to. A lot of studios want you to write the show and get the fuck out.
Yep. So they don't have to pay you to stick around.
Exactly. So that's one less area that you can be paid. And the formulas of residuals have changed as well. I was watching a video on Vox's YouTube channel earlier today, and they were talking about how residuals, you know, back with broadcast and with cable, are based on like how many times your episode plays on television, like a month or a year. And if you get on something big that gets a lot of reruns, like Friends or Seinfeld, you rack up the dough because those are on TV all the time, versus the formula that they talked about for residuals of taking those same shows and putting them on Netflix or Hulu or Peacock or Max or all of those goddamn things. There's too many of them to remember now.
The cable that's not cable, but is basically the cable system at this point.
Yes, we rebuilt cable and it sucks.
Great job. Why?
Essentially how it does is you get a percentage of the sale from the producers to the streaming platform one time a year.
Yeah.
And that percentage is really small.
Yep.
So the guys, I believe these were the figures they were talking about. The guys who once wrote like the big name shows that sold the streaming rights for, billions of dollars and at least hundreds of millions, who used to make money in the tens of thousands, are now making around 400 if you're lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Because let me ask you this question economically, Bo. Do you think you could survive in LA on a salary of $400 paid once every 3 years?
Gibby, if I just think those people should find a better job. And America's about pulling
You
yourself
just gotta
up
stop
by
getting
your
those iced
bootstraps.
coffees every morning.
And your avocado toast, and your $40 salads.
Overused line is overused.
Yeah, you should really pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right. This is
and,
America.
Writing's not even a real career, right?
Get a real job, idiot. I could tell our sarcasm is giving Kaylie a migraine.
Well, no, I'm thinking, I'm not like, I haven't seen
You should have been an oil baron, damn it.
God, I should have bought a house in 2009 instead of being in middle school. I'm sorry.
We should have been financial bankers back during.
We should have been
Occupy
oil
Wall Street.
barons. God.
How stupid were we?
How stupid were we? Oh, no. I've seen a couple of writers do this on like TikTok and other social media spaces, but I'm friends with a lot of actors that do this, where they do guess that like they get a SAG-AFTRA check in the mail. It's royalties. They get like 2 or 3 at a time, maybe, and they play guess the royalty. And some of them are like they'll do like the poll, like they make a great game out of it, where it's like, is it $15? Is it $50? Is it 37 cents?
It's The Price is Right.
And yeah, it's The Price is Right. And they'll like be like, I was a background in this show. I was a support character on a show that's on this platform. So you get an idea of like scope, scale, stuff like that. And they are always so absurdly low.
Yeah.
Why are you sending somebody a check for 37 cents?
Right.
For one, like it is laughably.
That's not worth the postage.
It's laughably and insultingly low as a percentage rate just for actors, that I imagine it's similar, if not slightly more insulting, for the scope of work from the writer's perspective of what they have to do for an entire show, season, whatever.
Yeah, to Kaylie's point, I hope what I want people to understand is, don't be blinded by the burden of success that people in the arts have to go through, which I know is like a whiny statement, but
the people who make the most money in the arts are managers, agents, and producers.
Well, not even that, right? Like, you can't expect your average actor to be making like Scarlett Johansson money or Chris Evans money, right? They are the 1%
and
of
even
1%.
Scarlett Johansson had to fight for
right,
that.
even Scarlett was just like, "Hey, yo,
But like the people,
hello?
the people who make that kind of money or in that kind of stardom are in the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, right?
Yeah,
that's like if you work your day job and somebody walks up to you and be like, "Hey, yo, why don't you run Amazon?" Right? It's like, because that's not how it freaking works, bro.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people who are affected by this, who do this professionally, write and act in, because the Actors Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, is obviously affected by this, and they're probably going to start striking pretty soon as well.
Yes.
The people who are affected by this are the people in the middle and the people in the bottom, just like any other sector in American economics, right?
Yeah.
So on top of like all that stuff we've talked about with the reality, now that the crypto bros can't push crypto on folks, now they're trying to push AI, which I could pop off about AI and how even that phrase, artificial intelligence, is an oxymoron. It's machine learning, you idiots. If it looks like human writing, it's because it was built to.
And they probably learned how to do that from fan fiction websites.
Well,
have you seen you've seen those articles like delving into where it was learning its language models in some cases, and people looking, where are you getting these specific words over and over again?
I don't want to dive into that.
These are they're non-copyrighted because they can't to legally exist online, they're learning language through fan fiction.
Where I'm going with this is the Writers Guild doesn't want to have to fight every time a quote new technology shows up. So on top of trying to get properly paid for what exists in current state, they're also trying to future-proof what may come down the line, right?
As they've tried to many times, but actually, this is this is not just about a future technology that our work could be made on. This, you're trying to make this replace us, and we're trying to nip that in the bud there, buddy. No.
Right.
Whoa, everybody. We gotta be calm. Hey, us producers, we're very reasonable people. Isn't that right, Harvey Weinstein?
We're very reasonable, which is why we won't hear anything at the table.
Again, I don't want us ourselves to be biased by the burden of success. Yes, the producers and the directors kind of get preferential treatment, but you also have to remember the vast majority of them are also in the middle in the bottom, right?
Significant amount.
Most producers, whether we think so or not, aren't big at pimping. A lot of them are, but not most of them aren't.
No, there are producers that work their ass off to make a show happen. However, there are also people that just have gotten very good or just have had some advantage at the start to just move some money around and make it work for them and put themselves there as a producer.
That's me.
Bodio Papula, Nepo baby.
Hell yeah. It's because I'm pretty.
I'm also going to mention, just out of, randomness and curiosity, that David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, was paid almost $500 million between 2018 and 2022. Oh, that's curious. I'm glad we were here for Gibby's Fun Fact Corner.
What would you even do with that much money?
What are you doing with all of that? At what point do you just, does it matter if you put money away to invest in more money? What do you do with that?
Do you know what happens when you make that much money? You lose your competency of what the life on the planet is like for 99.999 repeating % of other people, because that's when you have these big producers and C-suite executives of these streaming platforms speaking at commencement speeches and getting confused when they get booed off of the stage by college students who keep up with this stuff. And they're just
why are you booing me?
It's not our fault. Yeah, why are you booing me? It's the bitchy writers.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there is.
Go
multiple
off,
cases.
Hear it.
Well, the main one, and if I remember correctly, I believe, I don't know if this was UC Berkeley or another California university.
Wasn't even that. One of them was University of Washington. A big name producer came back to make a speech, and everybody was pissed at him, and he went, it's the writer's fault. Don't boo me.
No, the one I'm thinking of was, I think this was Zaslav trying to give a commencement speech or some similarly, same ranking, basically, CEO of one of these companies at that level, trying to talk through his speech, and you could hear the students chanting and clapping, "Pay your writers," as he's trying to talk through about how sometimes you have to persevere when it's difficult to work with people because you have different perspectives on something. And what the hell is that supposed to mean, my guy?
Yeah, specifically David Zaslav, the guy that I just said made $500 million in a 4-year period, spoke at Boston University and got booed the shit out of, and people chanted, "Pay your writers."
Shout outs to Boston University.
Yeah, shout outs to BU, holding up signs that said, "Protect residuals, not CEOs," and "Private jets, but no fair wages." Got him.
Yep.
They still have the audacity at that point to say, "I'm not in the wrong here." At some point, when you make that much money, you lose your relatability and, frankly, a bit of your sanity.
Yeah.
Because I think it kind of breaks something in your brain. And I'm not going to turn this entire episode into there should be no billionaires and billionaires are unethical, even though I want to.
But here's my Marxist manifesto.
It's just to say that even in a creative field where we celebrate artistry and we celebrate the magic of the movies and TV, and we've experienced a golden age of television for years and years and an incredible boom of storytelling in mediums we never could have expected, we're still seeing the same problems that tend to exist across all business in not just America, but in the greater late stage capitalism world.
Yeah.
Let's play the speculation game. Where do y'all think this is gonna go? Because my friend's connected with the Screen Actors Guild. No, that'll be in a few weeks. My friend's connected with the Writers Guild. Are kind of putting down for the long haul. They don't think it's gonna be a short one.
No.
So what do y'all think will kind of be the results of this?
I expect a similar, like, we're bunkering down for 150 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I imagine that is the plan to match the longest, because this all started not just with negotiations, but it boiled over because Producers Guild just wouldn't come to the table at any point, afterwards.
I know I just said the producers shouldn't be the bad guys, but they did reach a settlement.
They literally just wouldn't come back to the table.
They wouldn't come back to the
negotiate
table,
any further.
Then they also reached a settlement with the companies,
the directors, or no.
What's the abbreviation for all the big production companies?
AMPTP.
Yes.
The producers figured their shit out, but didn't help the writers figured their stuff out.
No, so I imagine they're going to be going for what has been the longest strike days active, that I imagine, if things still aren't looking any brighter at that point, I can definitely see it going longer. I definitely see Screen Actors joining, mostly because they have a very similar vested interest in what's going to happen with AI in creative spaces, because...
And potentially the Directors Guild,
yeah,
too.
potentially directors, too, but all my actor and voice actor friends are like, there's no way in hell that you're going to replace my likeness with computer-generated images, or just with artificial, like, voice programming. Like, AI voice tech is pretty cool, but that's the scary thing, is that it is marketed and produced and made to look so easy to just replace real people with an artificial voice. And there's always going to be scabs out there, or people that don't know any better when they're booking jobs, that don't realize you're being used as a voice training model for these programs that's going to take work away from other people. And so similar vested interest in that aligned, and clearly with no direct response from Hollywood being a good, responsible partner in the creative space, saying, no, we wouldn't do that. Until there is such a statement, right. I can't imagine them not striking alongside.
Carrie Fisher's face on another person's body. That never
right.
Which never looked that good anyway.
No, it was very scary.
No. But again, it's that... there was a video I watched today talking about VFX and The Flash, and was just like, there's a reason that these CG effects don't look good, and it's because investors don't care how good the movie looks. They just want a good statement in their next report. And so production companies just go, great, we can just churn things out faster and make you more money. It doesn't have to look good. And if you can just do that, then why not just have rights to actors' likenesses and voices and just slap them in a production that's mostly CG anyways? Why would you go spend dollars and dollars and days on a set or in a location filming? We can put you in this blue room, make some things happen.
Make it easy, make it efficient. That's how we make money.
Exactly.
Except we don't, because we definitely have never made a profit before.
Yeah, I think that's the most frustrating thing, is a lot of them being like, oh, we're not profiting out of this. We don't even know who's watching, right? It's the internet. We can't monitor that, when anybody who's ever been on the internet is like, you know who's watching, where they're at, what their mother's maiden name is, their credit card information, their age, demographics. But their neighbors' age and demographics, how long they've been watching, what they were watching, when their eyes were on it, what they're going to be watching next. Don't fuck with me, dude. Like,
unless you have our not sponsor today, NordVPN. No.
Don't use NordVPN. No. It's not very
good. Please don't.
And your advertising campaign is you can watch Netflix from other countries. It's like, I don't know. You're a leader in cybersecurity, bud.
I don't know about that, friend. Well, the first thing that I think is going to happen is that all the Stranger Kids thing, the Stranger Kids things,
the Stranger Kids thing.
All the Stranger Things kids are going to be like 30, and they're supposed to be in like 9th grade.
Yeah,
that's the first thing. The second thing that like is personal to me is that a lot of these people, because the production guilds are fucking over a lot of these people to in my personal opinion, which is at least in some part backed up by facts.
Good job.
For the better part of 2023 has affected not only the production of, broadcast and streaming media, but has affected a lot of people like me.
Right.
And by that, I mean, including me, because people in editing, people in production and video creation have seen this coming for a long time. I didn't know about this because I'm not really part of that space. But I have been looking for new full-time work for 2023, essentially. I've been freelancing and I've been doing some part-time stuff here and there. And I didn't know what it was. I was putting out hundreds of applications throughout January and spring and all that. And I was thinking, shit, I have really good qualifications. I have a good reel. What's going on here? I talked to some people who are in the industry, and what they told me was because they saw this strike coming, a lot of the people who have worked in Hollywood for years and years, because there was no stuff being generated, no new projects to work on, have had to essentially leave and find work in other areas of the country. Because for my industry specifically, in video and audio editing, we have a shortage of availability and of positions. And I've got good qualifications. I've been working in this field for roughly 5-ish years or so. But suddenly, because of this, I'm competing with people who have won Emmys and who have won Oscars.
Suddenly, it's not just like, okay, you have some certifications that I don't, or you took an extra like apprenticeship or something, but like we're roughly on par. And then here's this titan of an industry professional that walks in, and you go, mother.
And not to do an Emmy level like callback or anything, but we're back to Smash Bros. I'm probably better in this field and this skill than 95% of people on the planet, just because, it's a smaller
but that other 5
field
fucking percent.
Right.
Yeah, but now I'm competing
and they're good
with
at what
the
they
people,
do.
Yeah, suddenly I'm playing against people who go to EVO and who go to major tournaments.
Yeah, these are the people that go to tournaments.
My field of work. Yeah, so like even when I'm competing for like freelance stuff for YouTube and for like editing for like Fiverr.com, suddenly I have to go up against the people who make Scorsese's films and have to go up against the Breaking Bad Mad Men editors, which I gotta say
what a world.
has not been fun.
Yeah.
It's
good
not
Lord.
Good. It's not great, Bob. Not great.
I'm sorry, man.
So it's just things that like I didn't even expect, but that's been 2023 of just like, do you have a thing I can do? Have you had any EGOT recipients also compete for this? No? Good.
Please let me edit your things.
Yeah, please let me edit your TikTok, I swear.
Oh no.
I need your YouTube short.
But yeah, I think on top of that, right, because to Gibby's point, right? Motherfuckers still got to eat, right? So
yeah.
folks are trying to find work where they can. I think we will have a bigger leaning on non-scripted content again, right? So a bigger leaning. If you're tired of seeing too many reality shows, I hate to tell you, they're making more.
Born too late to be a reality TV show star, born too early to open toys on YouTube.
Right.
Born just in time to view dank memes.
I will say, like, arguably, not like there's a positive side to people having to strike, but I think you're right. I think we're going to get a lot more non-scripted content. I hope it actually backfires on studios trying to make non-scripted content a la like American Idols, because God knows how The Voice has been running as long as it has. I don't know a single person that watches that.
They know where the bodies are buried.
Like,
right.
I don't know who's watching that, but like it has been for the last 15 years, YouTube and now TikTok are becoming the sort of like new, and YouTube arguably less so, like nexus of creative hubs and creative ideas, forms, content structure, storyline, whether they're writing it themselves or not, or whether it is non-scripted work. Like, these are the platforms that are producing in the kind of system that we exist in, where you have so much content everywhere all at once from all 20 different platforms if you so chose to subscribe to all of them.
And I think like, those fields are only going to get stronger because of this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, fuck, man, I don't know who watches network television. I'm going to be completely honest. But if it's like, oh, man.
A lot of old people and a lot of people in doctors' offices and oil change offices.
If there's nothing new on Paramount Plus, I imagine a lot of people will be like, oh, well, just spend more time on TikTok. I'll go watch YouTube videos. I'll spend more time on Twitch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll see if TikTok survives much longer, but just because of all the politics around that, which we don't have to get into.
There's issues with the app. The United States also has issues with it, and I think that is somewhere from that financial interest of, well, we're supposed to be making this thing because that's what this country was founded on. I think it's film and television.
I think that's a misnomer. It's a national security thing.
No, I think it is. I think I
2 weeks from now, the liberal artist hosts a global politics seminar about TikTok.
Yes!
We're going to invite members of Congress as well as members of the Chinese government.
Oh, God.
No, none of us speak Chinese. It's going to get weird.
Bernie Sanders, if you want to come onto the pod, come on down, man.
Yes! Yes! Can we get the double feature guest cameo episode of Bernie Sanders and Jamie Lee Curtis playing Street Fighter while we talk politics?
Hey, hi.
I want to see Bernie Sanders come down when editor Gibby goes on strike and he speaks on behalf of him. He's just like, for too long, he has been overworked and underpaid, and they yell at him. Even the guests yell at him. That is unfair. It's not right.
I'm asking you once again to pay editor Gibby.
Stop making him do the pecan sound.
Hello, I am low popularity podcaster Bodio Papula. It would be absolutely dream fulfilling if Jamie Lee Curtis and / Senator Bernie Sanders were to come on to mine and my friend's podcast and hang out with us for roughly an hour and a half and just shoot the shit about literally anything. If y'all want to come at the same time, roll deep. I could send y'all cookies or something.
Whoa.
Right?
We don't have much to pay you, but I've got a spare kidney.
Right.
Oh.
We'll scrounge up. We'll start a GoFundMe. Right.
Yeah. I think
I'll
I
start a
nothing
GoFundMe once I need a new kidney.
Senator Sanders,
have
if
like
you know
$10 in a spare change jar.
Senator Sanders, if you even know what Street Fighter is, I'd love to teach you how to play. There's classic mode. It does or there's modern mode rather. It does the combos for you. I'm sure you will love Zangief. You know.
Senator Sanders, I know this isn't a video platform and you can't see this right now, but if you listen to my microphone right now, that's the sound of about 100 rare Lego minifigures that I was planning on selling, including ones from the Star Wars line between 1999 and 2005. I know you're all about the prequels, Bernie, and I would happily give you all of these if you come on to our podcast.
Oh, man.
They're worth approximately $5 a piece, but they're only going up. Minifigures only go up, baby. You gotta get this. Look, I got R2-D2. You know you love R2-D2, Bernie.
Do I need to go digging through the McDonald's Happy Meal toys in my parents' attic?
I don't.
Scrounge out some extra valuables.
Just like stonks, they only go up.
To the moon.
Ending that madness. This has been this episode of the Liberal Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Please follow us on our socials, on Twitter, unfortunately, and Instagram at libartistpod. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. Give us a 5-star on whatever the hell you're listening on. We very much so appreciate it. I know I said whatever the hell you're listening on.
And don't cross the picket line.
Don't cross the picket line.
Support WGA, no scabs.
Support the strike. Happy Pride Month. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day. If you're a dad out there, whatever fucking else is celebrated in June, have a happy that too. Join us next time where we petition more old people to come onto our podcast.
Yeah, that's what we're all about here.
Peace.
The Liberal Artists Podcast premieres every other Thursday on your favorite podcasting platform. The show is hosted by Bodio, Kaylie Horowitz, and Andy Gibson. You can find the show at LiberArtistsPod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks to White Hot for performing the theme song Reflect, which can be found on freebeats.io. Now, I'm off to go exploring, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a sheep that I can call my own. Good day.
Cool. I undoubtedly would be. I don't think I would ever need anything else in my life if Jamie Lee Curtis and Bernie Sanders came and shot the shit while we played
that would
Street
be
Fighter.
like a fever dream in the best way possible.
Right.
Bernie just comes on and he's just like, I actually prefer Tekken, specifically Tekken 2 and 3.
I would pop off if Bernie played Tekken 3 with me. Are you kidding me?
I'm a much bigger fan of Marvel v. Capcom 2.
Marvel vs. Capcom
specifically
2
the arcade
and Street
edition.
Fighter 3 Third Strike are the greatest video games of all time.
Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
But the real question is, who's into Wii boxing?
Sonic Fighters Clay.
Who's our Wii boxing stan amidst all these like fighting games?
Ooh.
You would be surprised, but I'm pretty sure it's Danny DeVito. He's small and fierce.
Just start swinging in front of the bar.
Why does it make sense?